They say Hawaii smiles in daylight, but it remembers in the dark. Beyond the postcard beaches and honeymoon sunsets, there's another Hawaii, one stitched together with stories. Stories that locals don't post online, that you only hear if someone trusts you enough to tell them after midnight. Tonight, let me take you there, to 5 places that shimmer between paradise and the unknown. 5 places Hawaiians respect, fear a little, and never forget. 1. Morgan's Corner. On the island of Oahu, deep in the hills where Old Pali Road twists like a sleeping serpent, there's a curve in the asphalt that locals call Morgan's Corner. No signs mark it. You'd drive past and never know, unless the road decides you shouldn't. Ask anyone from Nuuanu Valley, and they'll tell you how engines die there, how radios fall to static, how headlights flicker just long enough for the jungle to close in. But the strangest story belongs to a woman named Kiala. She told me she once drove that stretch after midnight, her brother asleep in the passenger seat. The air was cool, the road empty. Then, right at the bend, he sat up suddenly and whispered, "Don't stop. Someone's walking beside us." She looked. Nothing. Just the curve of the road and the sweep of the headlights. But the smell of plumeria filled the car, sweet and suffocating, like a funeral lay. And her mirror caught a shape, pale, swaying, gone in an instant. Kiala didn't look back. She said the air behind her felt heavy. Locals believe it's the spirit of a woman who met a terrible fate there decades ago, left hanging from a tree branch that still stands, twisted and blackened. They say the branch moves even when the wind is still. Morgan's Corner isn't a story people laugh about. It's a place they avoid, not because it's haunted by rage, but because it grieves. And in Hawaii, grief has a way of remembering your name. 2. The Forest That Watches. Fly over to the Big Island and you'll find MacKenzie State Park, a windswept strip of ironwood forest perched over dark volcanic cliffs. It's beautiful until the sun goes down. When it does, the forest seems to shift. The air thickens, and the trees tall and close begin to sound like they're breathing. Old-timers in Puna will tell you this park was built by prisoners, men who died here and were buried without markers. Some say they still walk beneath the roots, restless and curious. One fisherman told me he once saw a dim orange glow between the trees, like a campfire, though the park had been empty for hours. He went to check, thinking someone might need help, but when he reached the spot, nothing. Just the ironwood swaying and the faint smell of salt and smoke. Another camper said he zipped his tent shut before sleeping, only to wake before dawn with it wide open, his sleeping bag dragged halfway outside, as if someone had tried to pull it toward the forest. People laugh it off until they spend a night there. Then they pack up early. There's an unspoken rule in Puna: never whistle at night in MacKenzie. The locals say the spirits there take it as an invitation, and they answer back. 3. Alekoko Fishpond. Now let's leave the restless dead for something older, something in between. On the island of Kauai, along the Hulea River, lies Alekoko Fishpond, known to locals as the Menehune Fishpond. By daylight, it's calm and green, a quiet pool ringed by an ancient wall of lava rock. But that wall, legend says, was not built by human hands. The story goes that long ago, the island's hidden people, the Menehune, were asked to build a fish pond for a chief. They worked only at night, silent and unseen. Thousands of tiny hands lifted stone after stone, forming a wall so strong it still holds after centuries. The chief's daughters, curious, tried to watch them, but catching sight of a Menehune is forbidden. The moment the girls peeked through the trees, the work stopped, and the sisters were turned to stone. Their shapes still stand on a distant ridge, 2 rock pillars facing the pond. A caretaker named Mele told me once that on certain moonlit nights she hears faint splashes in the water, rhythmic, measured, as if someone is still building. You can't see them, she said softly, but you feel them watching, like the night itself has eyes. The Menehune aren't ghosts. They're builders, protectors, tricksters. But at Alekoko, they remind you that Hawaii's mysteries aren't all about death. Some are about what never left. 4. Makawao Cemetery. Maui wears its beauty so easily that you almost forget how old its bones are. But in the cool uplands of Makawao, Under the eucalyptus and ironwood, there's a small cemetery where the air seems to hold its breath. The stones here are simple, leaning with age, yet everyone in town knows not to linger after sunset. A teacher named Lani once told me that as a teenager, she and her friends dared each other to walk through the cemetery at night. They carried a flashlight and nervous laughter. Then halfway through, the light went out. Not flickered, died. In that thick, absolute dark, they heard a low humming like a lullaby. And when the light came back, fresh plumeria leis, white and yellow, lay draped over 3 of the graves they'd just passed. They left without speaking, and none of them went back. Years later, Lani returned in daylight to clean her grandmother's grave. She said she felt a hand, gentle, almost maternal, rest on her shoulder. When she turned, no one was there, but the same scent of plumeria filled the air. Locals believe some spirits there don't haunt, they guard, they tend their families, their land, and sometimes even strangers who come with respect. The people of Makawao don't tell ghost stories for entertainment, they tell them like prayers. 5 Kaena Point. And finally, to the edge of everything. Drive to the farthest tip of Oahu, where the land narrows and the sea pounds the black rocks. Kaena Point. There's no town here, no lights, just wind and ocean. Ancient Hawaiians believed this was Elena, a place where souls leapt into the next world. When someone died, their spirit traveled west, guided by the setting sun, until it reached this cliff. From here, it would leap into the sea and continue on to the afterlife. Even now, locals say you can feel that pull. It's not a place of horror. It's sacred still and deeply alive. One elder told me she comes here every year her father's birthday. She brings his favorite food, sits near the rocks and talks to the sea. Sometimes when she speaks his name, the wind rises suddenly, strong enough to knock off her hat, and she smiles. That's him, she says, always dramatic. But others have come here and felt something colder. A hiker once saw a figure ahead of him on the trail, barefoot, walking steadily toward the cliff's edge. He called out, no answer. The figure reached the end and simply vanished. No splash, no sound. So what ties these 5 places together? Morgan's Corner, where the road remembers sorrow. MacKenzie, where the trees still whisper. Alekoko, where the unseen builders never stopped. Makawao, where love outlives death. And Kaena Point, where the living and the departed still share the same wind. You won't find these on travel vlogs or brochures. They belong to the people who grew up near them, who leave offerings at their roots, who whisper a small apology when they pass. In Hawaii, the line between the living and the remembered is thin as salt spray on the wind. If you ever visit these places, do it quietly. Don't demand a story, just listen. You might hear footsteps that don't belong to you. You might smell flowers where no trees bloom, or maybe you'll feel nothing at all. And that's the strangest part, because in Hawaii, feeling nothing often means something was there, watching you go.